concentration camp model created by Hillary Clinton in Africa warned is coming to America. One of her quotes, "We just can't trust the American people to make those types of choices. Government has to make those choices for the people." What does that sound to you? If she had said this in the McCarthy era, she would have been labeled a very strong and tough communist. An absolutely chilling Ministry of Foreign Affairs report circulating in the Kremlin today is warning that the massive concentration camps overseen by Hillary Clinton in the West African nation of Ghana is a, quote, model, an experiment, end quote, she's planning to install in America should she win the presidency. And those first victims will be the tens of millions of people who support her opponent, Donald Trump, and who yesterday she branded as a basket of deplorables and warned her supporters were irredeemable and not America. According to the report, Federation intelligence analysts have known for decades that Hillary Clinton is part of a leftist communist elite cabal that includes President Barack Obama, operating as a fifth column, a group of people who undermine a larger group. The fifth column is usually unseen, pretend they're normal mainstream, whereas they're the enemy of the state. In the United States, led by the teachings of her mentor, Saul Alinsky, and who in the 1970s were discovered by the U.S. Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, to be plotting the murder of over 20 million Americans. The master plan used by Hillary Clinton's leftist cabal to gain absolute power in America, the report continues, is Alinsky's, quote, rules for radicals, end quote, that calls for the demonization of political adversaries so that others see them as devils, and is currently being employed against Donald Trump to label him as a racist. In spite of the overwhelming evidence, he has supported African Americans for decades, including civil rights icon Jesse Jackson, praising him for his decades of service to that community. To forever silence those Americans protesting her rule, should she gain power, the report notes, was begun in 1998 when Hillary Clinton, along with her husband, President Bill Clinton, visited the West African nation of Ghana and initiated a long-term, quote, social experiment, end quote, designed to totally make over that small nation's populace by stripping children from their mothers and grandmothers so that they could be indoctrinated in New World Order ways and methods. New World Order. Over the past 18 years since that first visit to Ghana, the report continues, Hillary Clinton, through her Clinton Foundation and aided by the Varkey Foundation, have facilitated the placement of thousands of mothers and grandmothers of that nation in concentration camps after they were accused of being witches, but who in 2012 was a nation hailed by President Obama as being a model for democracy in Africa. To the true type of democracy Hillary Clinton's Ghana was being praised of by President Obama, the report explains, was in the radical Islamic indoctrination of that nation's children once their mothers and grandmothers were put in concentration camps by the Varkey Foundation that was formed 2010 by Suni Varkey, the founder and chairman of GEMS Education, that is the world's largest private operator of kindergarten to grade 12 schools that teaches Sharia law and has paid Bill Clinton nearly $6 million. With a greater portion of Ghana now being pacified by Hillary Clinton's Islamic master plan of social engineering of stripping an entire generation of that nation's children away from their mothers and grandmothers, the report says that country is now ripe and ready for the exploitation of its massive and natural resources by Western elites, including Hillary Clinton's main financial backer, George Soros, who has already begun taking over that African nation and others surrounding it. Not being understood by the masses of American and European peoples about Hillary Clinton's master plan, quote unquote, her master plan, as she employed in Ghana, the report explains, is a part of what the globalist leftist elites call a borderless world. borderless. And we've seen that happening in Europe lately, where corporations will not be bound by the laws of individual nations, but only those they make for themselves in what are called trade deals, and has as its main 21st century goal and plan to flood the West with tens of millions of Islamic workers who by their religion are bound to obey their employers as masters. With both white, Latino, and African American peoples in the United States being labeled by Hillary Clinton and her leftist elite allies as unreliable workers, quote unquote, unreliable workers, the report continues. Her communist fifth column has not only perfected their concentration camp model in Ghana to use against them, but the actual destruction of their entire nation too, as explained by 1. Hillary and Bill Clinton's 1994 crime bill that over the past 22 years has made the United States the largest jailer of human beings in all of history. Number 2, Hillary and Bill Clinton's 1996 reform bill that gutted U.S. federal welfare programs, plunging tens of millions into abject poverty. 3, Hillary and Bill Clinton's 1998 educational law that forbid American students from ever being allowed to declare bankruptcy on their student loan debts, plunging tens of millions of them into lifetime of debt servitude. Number 4, Hillary and Bill Clinton's 1999 repeal of the Glass-Steagall Act in 1999 that allowed big banks to consolidate operations and created the conditions that led to the subprime mortgage crisis of 2008. As every single major disaster facing the American people has been engineered by Hillary Clinton and her leftist allies for over 2 decades, the report concludes, the absolute power of the corrupt American media establishment supporting her is now on full display for the whole world to see, and where in other nations Hillary Clinton and everyone surrounding and supporting her would be tried for treason, her main supporter, President Obama, was able to trash his own nation's citizens nearly 20 times this week, with no one calling him to account. I'll leave a link below for you for this.